Last week, I talked a lot about the four horsemen of real estate careers. The four horsemen being what are the financial killers of real estate agents? Because if you think about people and our health, if you live in America, there's an 80% chance that you're going to die of one of four diseases. It's heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative disease, which is like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, and then lastly, a metabolic disease like diabetes. And so we covered that last week in regards to how do we help people really focus on what takes them out or causes their real estate careers to die. And Gary says that there's only one of two things that will take you out of business. It's either legal or financial. And I believe that if you look at 80% of real estate careers that die, that is for financial reasons. And it's things like irregular income, lack of financial clarity and literacy, little or no savings, right? And then the last one was little to no savings. They don't have any money left over. And it's really astonishing to me as I just look around here locally in my market. And I was talking to a client of mine last week, how the real estate market has really slowed, but it doesn't seem like the spending of real estate agents has slowed at all. In fact, he was sharing with me that he's an operating principal in a market center. He was sharing with me that an agent in his office recently just bought a brand new Lamborghini SUV, which is about $250,000 car. And he said he pulled her production report, and the month before she had sold one house. And so I share all this with you not to be scary or to be an alarmist. And yet 2024, 2025, we're entering a recession. I mean, real estate is already in a recession. And so when we look ahead, especially in the holiday season, I'm just advocating that each and every one of you mind your P's and Q's, watch your dollars, pay attention to what you're spending. Don't buy anything major right now, especially depreciating assets that require payments. No bad consumer debt, credit cards, overpaying for cars. And essentially, I think it's just making peace with the fact that you're not going to spend money you don't have and pressing people you don't like. So all of that led me back into the most underutilized of Gary's books, and it's this one right here, Millionaire Real Estate Investor. And I just wanted to read this passage to you today because I think it's very telling in regards to where we are, both in the year and in the industry and in the market. And for those of you that are like students like me, this is on page 37. It's the beginning of the myth understandings. And it's titled The Devil's Wedge. And it says, in the old fable, the devil's best tool, the devil is going out of business and selling all the tools of his trade. For sale are implements such as the hammer of hatred, the scythe of spite, the maul of malice, and the dagger of deceit. As one would expect, the devil's tools are all ominous, but oddly, the highest priced item in his arsenal is an extremely worn and harmless looking wedge. When asked why it is so expensive, the devil slowly smiles and replies, "To be totally candid, this may be my most powerful weapon of all. I call it the wedge of doubt. When all my other tools fail me, I know I can always rely on doubt and discouragement to break and shatter the heart and will of man. How upsetting that something so small and often dismissed can be so devastating. As surprising as this is, the moral of this fable is quite clear. Don't underestimate the power of doubt to keep you from becoming your best. Yet that's exactly what often happens in the world of investing. People doubt either their abilities or the possibilities. They simply don't believe they can really be investors or that investing can help them reach financial freedom." And so if you're in Do This Now, which is our 4-week course, you know that the book that I gave to everyone to read or listen to, the one that I've been reading or listening to, is the Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And one of the ideas that I've been sharing with people is what I call voluntary confrontation with obstacles and challenges. Voluntary confrontation with obstacles and challenges. And so what that means is, instead of running away from the things that scare us, the uncertainty, the fear, the doubt, that we learn to lean into them. And I shared this on Friday when I was speaking to somebody, because or speaking to a group. There are some things in our life that are very paradoxical. There are certain pursuits that when you chase them, they evade you. For example, if you try to make yourself go to sleep, you will stay awake. And so one of the things that I often see is that when we try to ignore the voice of doubt as if it isn't real, then it takes hold of us. It's kind of like this thing too, like one of the conversations I've had, I don't know how many times in my coaching career, is I just don't know if I'm worthy. I don't know if I'm enough. And, I've figured out that when you worry about worthiness, you become unworthy. It's paradoxical. And so if you want to know how to develop a deep sense of self-worth, then what you will do is stack what we call esteemable acts. Esteemable acts are those that we know are right for us and who we intend to be. And when you stack one after the other, after the other, after the other, you develop a new relationship of trust within yourself, and doubt starts to evaporate. And so what I want you to become is kind of tone deaf to doubt, not in the sense that it's not there or that you ignore it, but maybe it's time to confront it and voluntarily confront it. So whatever your doubt is, this is what I want you to do. Start writing it down. And I've shared this with you all before. It's not a new tactic to many of you, but you know that doubt shouts and wisdom whispers. But we can use doubt. We can make it one of the greatest tools that we have in our toolkit, because doubt is also, or is always looking to protect us from or provide us with safety. And so if you want to know how we can work through the devil's wedge, or whatever you want to call it, just follow this process. When that voice of doubt starts talking, what if I can't make the money? What if interest rates go to 1,000,000%? What if? Whenever you get those things in your head, write them down. Write the question down. Because what this does is, first, it's going to externalize it. No longer is it living in the dryer of your mind. We've all had that experience of listening to a shoe in the dryer, and it's like clanging and banging around in there. And you're like, oh my God, it's so loud. That's what doubt does if we don't take the time to write the question down that it is asking. So what is the question? And then what we do, if we're going to work through it, remember, we're not running away from it, we're leaning into it, is do your best to answer it. What if interest rates do go to 1,000,000%? Well, what percentage of the people in the world buy with cash? Who is immune to this? And how do I find those people? One of the things that's interesting is, if you look at MLSs, for example, most MLSs, you can search by financing type. You can go back over the last 5 years and look at all the people that bought their house cash. And there's your market that you can work right there. So what I want you to start doing from now on is, don't run away from it. Don't try to silence it. Write it down. What is doubt telling you? In fact, David Goggins, many of you probably know who he is. He's an ultra marathoner, former Navy SEAL, the hardest man alive, and he wrote the book Can't Hurt Me. What he does is, he actually has the voice memos on his phone, and every time, he calls it his little bitch voice, whenever his little bitch voice starts talking, he just records it on the voice memo, and then he listens to it. And it's a strategy to externalize it so that we can work through it. So you don't have to live inside of this voice. That's right, Laura. You can also, this was something that I did with Laura not very long ago. Whenever that voice of doubt starts talking, the question I asked her is, whose voice is it? Is it your mom's voice? Is it your dad's voice? Is it your sister's voice? Whose voice is it? And we all will ultimately say it's mine. Okay. Well, there are these things called modalities. And if you change a modality, it will change the experience. So what I told her to do is every time doubt starts shouting or whispering or whatever it's doing, just repeat what it's saying out loud, but you have to do it in your best Minnie Mouse voice. Or maybe some of you have little kids like I do who really love this show called Bluey. And Bluey's a little dingo from Australia. So do your best Bluey voice and externalize the doubt. And I know that this is silly. I know that it's like absolutely like, what is he talking about? I'm not a kid. It works because it disrupts the pattern. And so these are the things that I would invite you to focus on between now and next week so that we can continue moving forward. You and I both know the majority of the real estate industry is asleep. They've gone into maintenance mode, which means that I will do the 80% if it knocks on my door. Buyer wants to see a home, I'll show them. Seller wants to list their house, I'll list it. And yet, let's be one of the few who focuses on being active, meaning we're going to nail the 20%. We're going to generate, convert, go on appointments, write contracts, and negotiate them. And I don't want anybody here regretting your holiday season because you turned 2 holidays, maybe 3, Thanksgiving, whatever you celebrate, and then New Year's, and you turned them into a 45-day holla month. And you and I both know how long it takes to get back into momentum. It's a 90-day swing in a normal market. So let's focus. Let's nail this. And remember, you don't have to let the devil use their wedge on you. So thank you all for being here. I trust that you will have a happy, fun, safe holiday season. I look forward to seeing you all next week. It will not be me. There will be somebody covering for me because I am going on vacation. But I'm looking forward to talking with you all when I get back. Thank you for being here. See you all soon.